Today is Saturday, April 27th, 2024. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 46, Week 9.
Week 9. We are in the thick of it. And there are blunders to the left of us and blunders to the right of us. And it's time to talk about it. How many folks checked in this week?
23.
23 super fans have something to say about Week 9's escapades. Anything we need to cover before we dig in?
Don't believe so.
Let's kick it off with Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Wow, that was an unreal episode. Better than last week. Little sad with the outcome. I wanted Q to go, but I'm going to let out a great big woo! And all I'm going to say is, what on earth was poor Hunter doing? First, he wanted to save the idol for a while, thinking he was safe, which I totally get. But then when he had bad vibes and he saw other people strategize, and, in particular, Marie kept saying Maria, Ben, Charlie, and he didn't trust Ben. I really thought he was going to play his idol, and it hurt him big time. And he joins James Clement, Ozzy, all these other ones that have gone home with idols in their pocket. Unbelievable. So I'm hoping that they re-hide his idol, and there's another one hidden at the camp. But man, I couldn't believe it. I really wanted Q to go. But then again, Q is an easy vote. I think we all agree. Q, if he's not voted out next week, which he could be voted out any time, he's a GOAT. He's even more of a GOAT than Venus, I think, which is crazy. And no one wants to strategize. And I don't think Tevin or Soda on the jury, and I know Hunter don't respect his game as it turned out down the road. Good on Charlie for beating Hunter in that challenge. I thought Hunter might pull it out, but Hunter's a big dude, and clearly that wasn't helpful for him in that endurance there. Those legs must have been killing him. Kudos for Charlie there. Man, but so much back and forth, though. I thought Tiff was going to get blindsided with the idol. Then it was Hunter, then Q. What I thought would have been great, though, is I think it would have been great if some of them could have came together to get rid of Maria, because you could have gotten rid of the Maria-Charlie duo. And from what I've seen right now, those two are controlling a lot, but you still got Kenzie in there. You got to watch out for her, and Tiff is hanging on with that idol right now. Well, I think those are the four you got to watch out for that could win right now. I really like where Kenzie is. I like where Maria is a little bit. Charlie, and I said Tiff. Ben is in the middle. He's got no strategy. Q is a clear goal. Venus isn't far behind. Liz, I still think, is in the middle. She's having a tough luck getting respect with the vote. I think if she gets to the end, if it's somehow her, Venus, and Q, which is unlikely, that's, to me, Liz's best chance of winning. Otherwise, I think it's those four that I mentioned at the top that could win, that would earn respect from the jury. But it's anyone's game, guys. I really got to see what the extra clips hold. Not that they mean much. And again, gonna check out Hunter's interview about why he didn't play his idol. Hunter did not have a good read for sure. Gotta hear what he said in his interviews. I'm sure a lot's been said here, but it was an awesome episode, guys. Looks like we're gonna have a good finish in these last few episodes. Take care. Woo!
Whoa, thanks, Pete. It came down to Hunter trying to play the numbers, and he kept, at least like they showed him in the episode, running numbers in the sand, and he's trying to think, is there any way I can keep my idol? Is there any way? And when everything flipped and the focus was more on Q, he was trying to decide, is Tiffany going to...
So he thought.
Is Tiffany going to come on this Q vote with us? because he was ready to follow Kenzie and Liz, who was adamant that she was voting Q. And he, after watching Tiffany and Q go at each other back and forth, he said that Jeff wasn't even involved. They were just blasting each other and calling each other liars. And then, it was like one and the other. And
way more than what we saw.
yeah, he said we barely even had a taste of what went down between those two. And he finally determined, she is just so angry at him, she's going to do it. She's going to vote for Q, which to Tiffany's credit, she did not.
I don't know. I wondered if maybe Hunter's going home was the Joanne and Stacy curse.
The Joanna State, that we're picking them and they're going out.
They're going out with an idol in their pocket.
That could be.
First Jim, now Hunter.
You might be onto something there.
Thank goodness we can't choose anybody else
That's
this
right.
season.
So the rest of them have an even playing field from here on out. Yeah, that was Hunter's take, and he owned that he made a mistake, but why he even got caught up in the numbers like that, there was no. That's
panic.
It's ridiculous risk taking. It's RRT.
And he didn't have Tevin there to talk him around with things either.
Right.
Or to do his talking for him.
To the other folks, yeah. He said that he had been working to build bonds with Kenzie as soon as they came together in the Murgatory. So he had spent a lot of time working with her. So when he said that she was his number one, he meant that. At that point, he had shared a lot of stuff with her, and so there was some kind of a bond there between them. And she didn't betray him initially, but then he made it easy to go.
Yeah,
so.
But I had to wonder if they didn't plan this ahead to do a split vote.
There's someone in the feedback talking about that too. I think the answer is no. I don't think they're playing at that level. I think it was just a coincidence.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. Look at last season, and then look at all these jugheads that are playing this season.
Well, I was trying to find another way that it was strategy.
Yours is optimistic, and you're
so
trying
that if
to give
Hunter
them,
played an idol, then Q would go home.
And why not plan that for Q?
But they told Q.
Why not plan that for Tiffany?
They didn't clue Q in. They told him it was Ben so that he couldn't mess anything up. And that way, if Hunter played the idol, Q goes home. No problem.
Benefit of the doubt, but I think someone else makes an even better point about why they're not.
Oh, well, excuse me.
It's not a diss to you. It's just there's another way to look at it.
Okay.
Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Christiana.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Christiana from Massachusetts calling in with my feedback for this week's episode. I don't have much to say. I feel like I probably agree with what other listeners are going to be calling in and saying, in that I'm just frustrated with the gameplay. These people don't seem to have much game. Everything is just chaos and reaction. And I think what was so great about last season, I mean, there was a lot of things. I think it was a great cast, but the Reba 4, they played in an old school way where you get your core alliance, you only share information with them, you don't go blabbing to everyone else on the merge tribe. You stick to each other until the end, and they didn't go to top 4, I don't think. No, they didn't make it to top 4. Like, they cut each other and they zigged and they zagged, and the girls broke with the boys and whatever, but they were loyal to each other. There was no loyalty on this season at all, and I find that very frustrating. And then just the plans change 3,000 times, and I don't feel like everyone has, or anyone has, a goal and then the steps in between to get there, and they stick to it. Obviously, they all want to win, but no one's really seeing a path and able to execute that, and that's very frustrating for me as a viewer. Hunter, I don't know what you're doing, dude. Play your idol. You knew where you were paranoid, and I'm sure to this day he regrets not trusting his gut. It was kind of apparent that he knew he was in trouble, but he probably wanted to save it, and I get it. And Kenzie's telling him, "You're good, you're good, you're good. Don't waste it or whatever." He's like, "Oh, if I'm gonna trust that I'm good, and then I'll hold on to it, and then it can get me one step further." But I don't know. I'm a risk averse person, but I am always team play it if you're questioning, because what good is having an idol tomorrow if you're not in the game tomorrow? Tiffany, I will say, I'll give her credit. I think she played the whole situation well. I'm going to play it definitively, telling everyone that. And then it was between then and 6 plans later, and she knew I'm not even on a chopping block anymore. That would have been cool if someone cycled back around and was like, let's actually do TIFF now that she thinks that the pressure's off of her. But that didn't happen. So I don't even know what to expect in the future. I think Kenzie has an excellent social game. I think Tiff is really smart. I think Charlie is getting a great edit. I don't know what that means, but he went from being kind of this silly, unserious player to now really showing game and intelligence and strategy in the context of the game. Maria is showing some of that. I think if she can't use Q, that is smart, even though I don't even want to see Q on my screen anymore. But we'll see what happens. I hope everyone has a great week. Bye.
Thanks, Christiana.
You know, what's interesting is we started out the merge with everybody going after the Sega tribe. Now, you look at the jury, 3 nominees.
Yeah.
Soda, Tevin, Hunter, Slate. When did that shift like that? I don't know. It just seemed to be very different from.
They were never a united front.
No, they weren't.
So they didn't have that going for them. There was no protection. Like Christiana's saying, where are the real alliances? Alliances of 2 don't get you to the end.
And the only alliance of 2 that I think is still left is maybe Maria and Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, people are all over the place and willing to turn on anyone, which they should be willing to do, but it's...
timing's everything with that kind of a play, though.
Yeah, it is.
These all feel, I agree with Christiana, these all feel really premature. The only solid alliance that we've seen, because Kenzie essentially threw the Kenzie-Tiffany thing away this past episode, is Charlie and Maria. They're actively working together.
I just said that. So you concur?
I concur.
All
Thanks,
righty.
Christiana. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne, Stacey, and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in. I hope that everyone enjoyed this episode. Overall, I thought it was pretty good. I decided to play a little bit risky this week, and I finally put a save point on Venus, so that felt great getting that. But unfortunately, like most people, I also had a save point on Hunter, so that didn't really play out. And it's kind of unfortunate. I thought Hunter would win the challenge, or he would, at least if he lost, he would know enough as a big immunity threat to play his idol. So while Hunter was very entertaining this season, I think he is a good Survivor player. I think clearly his social game just wasn't quite there. But I think, who knows, maybe in a few seasons he can come back and play again. I think he was pretty entertaining and definitely one of the biggest challenge beasts of the new era. This episode, when it came to the immunity challenge, I thought it was really funny seeing the tribe split. My wife and I actually paused the TV when it showed them splitting each other up, and then the 3 misfits are all sort of standing together. And it was really funny because you could see by their faces that neither of them wanted to do the challenge with the other ones. And I thought that was funny. At the challenge, I was a little bit disappointed that CBS actually partially spoiled the ending for me, because in one of the previews I saw on YouTube, it showed Maria standing on the post. So I knew as soon as they showed the whole overview that, okay, well, they obviously make it to the end. So that was a little bit disappointing. And I think that, I don't know, I tend to watch a lot of these like sneak peeks and previews going into the episode just so I can help educate myself and make the best picks possible. But since it doesn't really pan out that way, I think maybe this week I won't watch anything and I'll just go in a bit more blind. So at least it won't get spoiled for me. And I know it's not the first thing that they've unintentionally spoiled this season. As far as predictions for next week, I think there's a theme these last couple episodes of sort of frantic and rushed playing. Like people seem to really be moving quickly to get rid of their number ones. We had Tevin take out Soda, in my opinion, too early. Yep. We had Liz take out Tevin, in my opinion, too early, and then whine about not getting credit. And then this episode, we had Kenzie putting the target on Tiffany, even though everyone already knows that Tiffany has an idol, so she's naturally a target. Like, being in charge of that plan puts you at risk for when Tiffany finds out that you're targeting her. So I just think it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think players in this new era feel really rushed to make moves really quickly, and I think a longer season would allow some of these plans to happen more organically and sort of make more sense, seem less frantic. And I think it would give alliances a bit more legs to stand on. I think in this new era, any alliance more than 2 is hard to accomplish, especially post-merge. So who knows how next week's going to play out. Maybe Maria and Charlie finally target each other. If Charlie wants to keep winning more immunities, he could get rid of Maria. And Maria, same thing. Hunter gone. Charlie's a big immunity threat. I feel like they've been showing Charlie and Ben's relationship, so taking Ben deep in the game makes a lot more sense than bringing Maria, so maybe that's how that plays out. Or we could finally see an easy vote like Q or Venus, but I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but I look forward to hearing all the other fans' predictions. And that's it for me. You guys just take care.
Excellent. Thanks, Robert.
Hopefully they're not going to mess around and lead the Yanu 3 for the finale.
Well, it won't. I don't think it'll do anything for Q. He will be a goat.
No.
Like
I
Pete
think
was saying.
Kinsey would win hands down.
More than
if that were the case.
Given what we've been shown, yeah, that seems likely. You got to think about it in terms of the time frame here. It's like within 4 days, Soda, Tevin, and Hunter are gone.
Exactly.
Boom, boom, boom. 4 days in the game. It's so fast. No wonder they make mistakes, huh? Thanks, Robert. Next up, we got an email from Jill in the Outback.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Emailing this week as the days got away on me and I've nearly run out of time. Hunter, I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. Once he told one person about the idol, he had to play it. His moves just kept getting worse and worse and led to his demise.
That's a great description.
Q. I think he's stepped into GOAT territory now. The rest will keep him around because no one will vote for him at the end. Every season they seem to keep an annoying person around as the GOAT, and I don't know how they do it. It's a wonder someone hasn't been hurt. Liz, I'll wait to see what she's up to next episode. What was she eating up until 3 days ago? Did she get a reward? Either way, 3 days is a long time between meals when you have to do physical challenges. The show missed the chance to give them rice a couple of challenges ago, so they will need to find another way. And soon. The couple of little bits of popcorn just won't cut it. I will look forward to the feedback show. Happy days, everyone. All right, thanks, Jill. I don't know what she was eating. She didn't really say, and I don't think they got any food, did they?
Yeah, she was part of a reward, I think, back when...
What did they get? I don't know what she could have eaten. I don't know. Sorry, I don't remember either.
I don't know the specifics, but she did have something 3 days ago, and she can eat fish, and they've certainly been getting fish.
Well, and we've even seen her in extra clips going out with the
I think Hunter,
sling and trying to get some.
Hunter was trying to get some for her, too, in some of those clips. Well, probably some for everyone.
Yeah.
That Probe said she was made fully aware of what she was heading into, and she chose to play the game. So he feels absolved, I think, from that perspective. It wasn't in her best interest. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling from Northern California with my feedback. Well, that was a disappointing week. I know I, like so many of us, especially you guys, super, super bummed to see Hunter go home. I just loved watching him play so much. He was so good at that game. But that's the thing with Survivor. When you're so good and you're a threat, it makes people want to vote you out. It's interesting how back in the day, the big super threats were always the ones who just kind of took over the game and nobody challenged them and they would just dominate and then they would win. And now it's the people who are more under the radar or maybe aren't quite as strong but are really mentally keen. Those are the ones who seem to be able to take control of the game these days. And I'm thinking specifically of Charlie and Maria. Those two are a force to be reckoned with. I was really proud of Charlie for winning immunity. He's a tough guy, and I really very much admire Maria's gameplay. I was really vacillating back and forth when it was time to choose a new USB, whether I was going to go with Tiffany or Maria, and in the end, I just had to go with Tiffany. There was something about her that just sparkled a little more shiny. I love watching her play. I still haven't ruled Tiffany out. She's a beast to contend with. Completely over Q. I feel like nobody's going to vote for him. He's got no chance of winning, and they might as well drag him along as a goat at this point. Venus, I don't think she has any chance of winning either. Yes, she has opinions on who to vote for, but she is not driving any vote because nobody will work with her. And therefore, what she has had to say thus far, I really believe if she sat in a final, if she was brought to the end and claimed responsibility for any of the votes, I mean, I feel like the jury might be poisoned by her because Tevin probably told Soda, no, she was not responsible for that. And I just feel like all the others in the game, as one by one they get voted off and they go on the jury, they would never believe, yeah, she was responsible for any of those votes. Yes, she talked to people and said, this is what I'd like, but she wasn't driving anything. The true people, I believe, who are driving things right now are Charlie, Maria, Kenzie, and Tiffany. And those are the forces to be reckoned with. And I guess we shall see what all goes down in the next episode. It's been very hard to choose who's safe, who's the vote out. I lost another safe point this week because I did not think there was any way in the universe that somebody as skilled as Hunter was not going to play his idol. And I know we were all screaming at our TVs going, play your idol, play your idol, play your idol. Don't be crazy, play your idol. That was very sad. I usually reserve this level of sadness for when someone I love goes out at fire, but I was extremely, extremely mournful that Hunter got voted out. I guess we'll see what happens next week, and everyone have a beautiful Saturday. I'm off to Napa for my bike ride. Bye. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Rebecca. Yep, Hunter, I think we all wanted him to do better. Just do better. He has potential. We'll see. Next up, we got a quick call from Shanti.
Please send help. I had a dream about the Q skirt.
Okay. Well, I'll send help in Dreamland, Shanti. We got you covered. Yeah, that's funny that worked its way into Shanti's dreams. Okay, next up, we got a call from Nora.
I'd call that a nightmare.
Yes.
Hi, Stacey and Joanne. It's Nora up in Ottawa, and I'm in the backyard here where spring really wants to show up, but winter is hanging on. -4 with 44 kilometers an hour winds, but it is getting up to +2. That's 2 degrees above freezing. So that's nice. This is a great season, isn't it? I mean, I was really turned off like everybody was by Banu, and that was too many hours on that guy. But for all the negativity about Q, of course he's annoying, but I'm so proud of the players last night for getting out my USB, even though it hurt personally that they got rid of Hunter in terms of points. But I'm really glad because it showed how smart they are, and it showed that Maria, Charlie, one of them will win this season. They're keeping their eyes on the ball. Like, yes, this is the one time Hunter's without an immunity necklace. Absolutely get him. Keep your priorities straight. Someone who's annoying you, doesn't matter how chaotic he is. I gotta say that this season, because they spent so long with Banu, I emotionally am with Tiff. I think Tiff, wow, you're really, really proud of her and her smarts. And then she just sort of lost focus, which will happen if somebody comes after you personally. Q spilling the beans on her idol, it's going to derail her. She would have gone up in my estimation and full level above had she been able to put his annoying self aside and voted out Hunter. I think the 26-day season, it's very hard to make bonds that are real. You can have fake bonds going, we only have to last another week and then we're merged. What is your opinion, Stacey and Joanna and everyone, on the 26 versus 36 day looking at this 6-person alliance? Congratulations to those 3 guys who met on a journey, and Q said, no, let's do it. Like, congratulations to Q for that, because that's what the journey's meant for. I think there's maintenance work that you have to do to solidify a new alliance. An old alliance, an originating alliance, not so much. But if you're going to come up with a new alliance in 26 days, you better do maintenance work. And you need to have the kind of verbal politeness and elan and stuff that Charlie and Maria have. Hunter, you never turn down an alliance. He actually turned down an alliance. If anybody offers you an alliance and you're already in one, if you turn it down, you're shortening your life on this show. I mean, you've got to have some kind of verbal jujitsu to keep people believing that you're in their alliance. So I'm sorry, I just loved my USB, Hunter, but he had to go. Congratulations to Charlie and Maria on potentially winning this whole thing, for keeping their eye on that ball. Thank you so much for your wonderful observations last night on the show. You really made things clear to me that were foggy, and I just absolutely love listening to you guys. And take care, and thank you so much.
Thanks, Nora. Hope it continues to get warmer there. That still sounds very rough to us. We are not used.
Were nice. Though.
Yeah, we're not used to weather like that. 26 days has certainly had an impact on the game. It moves at a rapid rate.
Yes, it does.
And time pressure is one of the key ingredients in almost every reality show. So,
well, with the 39-day, they had to deal with boredom. With 26 days, I don't think they have to deal with that.
No, I think they still do. It's just not the same.
Not to the same degree.
Yeah, it's not even remotely to the same degree. And it's being able to manage the relationships that much longer, too, I think is huge.
Yeah, because they've heard everyone's story and they're tired of hearing it. And, you know, when it drags on and drags on for them.
Mm-hmm.
And like they said, a lot of times they just end up keeping people that entertain them.
Yeah.
That's their main focus.
I don't think that the 26 days has been a positive change. I'm sure we could find some examples of how it forces some things that make the game more enjoyable. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I can't see that it's a net positive at all at this point. Some of that could just come down to the players, because a really common theme in the 40s is that we've had a lot of people who are not suited to the game. Is that a way to put it? They just don't seem to do anything but look at now. And I guess part of that's the 26-day time pressure that makes the immediacy.
I think part of it,
factor.
too, is just they're choosing people that aren't long-term true fans. There's only, the ratio is off of people that really at least know and understand the game. There's so many that watched, binge watched and went, oh yeah, I'm a fan. I've seen all these seasons.
Yeah, binging all the seasons is a huge commitment. So
it is, but it's not the same as following it for so many years.
Right, having more time to sit with
doing
it and think about it
in a couple months.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there is a difference between those two, the simmer time. Thanks, Nora. Next up, we got a call from David in Oklahoma.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey. This is David from Oklahoma. This Survivor season, in my opinion, is a season that you would love to watch if you're just a bunch of hot messes, basically. It's a bunch of hot messes this season.
Yes.
And it's kind of fun to watch. You've got Q, who blurts everything and wants to go home. We got Ben, who's kind of just there. And we got Hunter not playing his idol, but it's all pretty much enjoyable. What's not enjoyable is seeing Liz being bashed on Instagram for having a breakdown. She got really bashed really hard by someone for no reason because she was struggling to play the game. And I get it. A lot of people think that she shouldn't have been there. But they got to understand that she's really resilient to not have food or stuff to eat and still be playing this game. And she's really stressed out. And I would be too if I only had popcorn to eat for 3 days. I think Charlie's still going to win if Maria doesn't do something crazy, which she probably will, and get her number one target voted out. And Venus, I don't think she's going to win. Well, talk to you guys later. Bye.
Thanks, David. Yeah, that's unfortunate. There's just way too much of that. We've heard a lot of that this season, too.
Well, and though a few kernels of popcorn I'm sure was delicious, it didn't have much value as far as filling them up or satisfying their hunger. So that was just a tease.
You know what we didn't see, though, is her giving up her vote. She only needed one other person willing to do that to get that rice, and she would have been set.
That's true.
She knew she had no chance winning that challenge when the rice was offered. I'm sure it's coming back around. So thanks, David. Next up, we got an email from Mary in Maryland. Well, what a week. While Survivor's still my favorite show, and being a part of this group is one of my favorite hobbies, I was left feeling a bit annoyed and unsatisfied the past couple of weeks. It all felt so chaotic and random with puzzling and nonsensical gameplay. That's a fantastic summary. Very succinct. From Q's sudden desire to quit as soon as the votes seemed to not be going the way he wanted to supposed superfan Hunter telling everyone about his idol and then not playing it when he needed to, many of the choices just don't add up. Going back to the ridiculousness of Jelinski and Banu and the not needed trick that Jim played on her tribe. There seemed to be no real alliances left at this stage other than Maria and Charlie. People seem willing to cut anyone at any time and turn on a dime with alarming frequency. I enjoy seeing relationships develop and change over the course of the game, and there isn't enough of that for me this season. I don't understand the chronic not using of immunity idols. They work so hard to get them and are so thrilled to have the power it supposedly gives, but seem to almost never use them for their intended purpose, and more often than not recently get voted out without playing them.
'Tis true.
I do not like that Jeff is inserting himself into the game more and more. That wasn't right of him to say at the beginning of the challenge that we all assumed that one team would lose. If there's anything we all know about this game, you can never make assumptions about how teams will do in challenges. We've seen so many unexpected outcomes.
I agree.
At this point, I feel that Tiffany, Kenzie, Maria, and Charlie, and even Venus are attempting to play the game, but keep getting foiled by others' erratic gameplay. I would be pleased if any of them win at this stage, even though I don't find Venus enjoyable to watch. At least she's trying to play and not giving up. Ben is likable and his talking heads make sense, but he's just along for the ride. I'm afraid that anyone who is attempting to play competently will be voted out and will be left with the final three of Liz, Q, and Ben. Anyway, I'll be interested to hear everyone else's thought. Thanks. Well, you didn't tell us who wins out of that group, Mary. Who wins with Liz versus Q versus Ben? Ben. I'll just go with Ben.
Yeah, I would go with Ben just because Liz and Q.
There's too much animosity for futzing up the game that Liz and Q have generated.
Well, I think that Liz would get hyper emotional and cry a lot, and that I don't know that would go over well, and try to take a claim for a lot of moves that other people think they did, or I just don't know if she could present herself as well.
The desperation to get credit would probably come across. And likewise with Q, he would attempt something, but
well, I don't think
Ben would win.
Even ask him anything.
Yeah, that's it. Ben would win just because he's the least of the three.
Least objectionable.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Mary. We enjoyed that. Next up, we got a call from Anderson.
Hey, Joanna Stations. This is Anderson from North Carolina calling with my feedback for week 9. Wow, what a crazy episode. Honestly, Hunter going, I am not surprised, but with an idol in his pocket, just like Jen, that's 2. Should we make it 3? I don't know. I don't really want Tiff to go, but she must. Charlie got revenge on Hunter for beating him in the challenge. Q makes everyone go crazy. But guess what? I'm going to recap next time on Survivor. Next time on Survivor, Liz goes insane. Maria tries to make a move that potentially could win her the game. Q is still in a hole and everyone's targeting him. But my predictions for next time, I think either Liz is going to make everybody crazy and get voted out. Q could actually get voted out. Even what Maria's saying, Kenzie and Tiff could potentially go. Charlie could get blindsided, which is a great opportunity for Maria to go with the girls all beyond him. They're a big threat, and she wants Tiff out. Do you think someone's going to find the idol from Hunter? And why didn't anyone go looking for an idol from the Sega Beach when they went to the old Sega Beach in the double elimination? Just wondering, but thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Anderson. Good job. What happens is that there's lots of idol hunts that happen, and they don't show them because nothing happened. And there wasn't anything to find at Sega Beach, so I think that would be my most likely guess as to why we didn't get anything there. Do I think they'll rehide Hunter's idol? Yes, I do. And we're going to see people scrambling for it.
Well, but does Maria still think Ben has an idol and he's not telling?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's that too.
She seems to, yeah.
Yeah, she was adamant in that extra clip, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Although they seemed to be getting along, and he seemed to be communicating better.
Well, that's why I wondered if maybe he convinced her, I don't have it.
Or just by his actions and working and calling out Q and demonstrating that he was engaged and in the game, he might have won some favor back with her. Yeah, I look forward to seeing some advantage or an idol coming back in since Hunter's is gone. Thanks, Anderson. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. So I just finished watching the episode. I haven't listened to the recap yet. It's Thursday morning, but I just have to get it out because I don't want to think about it anymore. I'll definitely listen to the recap. Of course, I'll listen to the listener feedback. But guys, it's almost insulting. I kind of thought that it was an attempt, like a sad attempt at like master manipulation. But now it's pretty clear that he's just a moron. He doesn't understand. It's kind of like he's Victor Crumbing this whole thing. If you're familiar with Harry Potter reference from Goblet of Fire, he knows that he's not going to win, so he kind of wants just to go down in flames and end it on his own terms. It's not fun. It does not rock. Let's put it that way. I'm kind of annoyed that Hunter was lulled, as he said, into not playing his idol because he absolutely should have. Obviously, Tiffany felt safe, so she didn't need to. But Hunter, there was no reason to suspect that you were not in danger tonight this time around. Should have just played it. It would have been an easy, quick vote. I didn't even see. I didn't watch the votes. I didn't see who voted for Ben. So I'm gonna have to take a look. But I don't know why they wanted to. I guess they wanted to turn it into a tie just in case. Anyway, yeah, insulting. It's frustrating to watch when you just can't get the gameplay because the non-gameplay is taking up so much of the air space and the energy. So if they don't go Q next time, I'm going to call this a really, really poor season just because the beginning was slow. It started to pick up, and now we're just in deadlock again. I'm kind of rooting for Liz at this point, so frustrated on her behalf. Kind of weird, but Q is just completely inept. So, all right, everyone, thank you for letting me get that out. Have an avenue to vent this a little bit, and I'm sure I won't be the only one. So, talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, Drew. Yes, I unfortunately believe that you'll have more opportunities to vent about Q going forward. I think the funny thing that'll likely happen is they'll end up with Rice and they'll vote Liz out this next. She'll finally have food available and she'll get voted out. That would be perfect for her. That could explain that scream. Oh, thanks, Drew. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. It's David in Pittsburgh. Well, pass the popcorn, but add a double shot of gin on the side for me. I have to say that when my first USB, who shall remain nameless, went home, I cheered. And when my second USB got blindsided, I shrugged. But this time, I really was sad to see a player go. And I honestly did not believe Hunter had a chance to win this game. I thought that, like other physical threats in the past, Ozzy and Malcolm and Jonathan, he helped his team get into the merge. But once they were there and it was an individual game, he was going to be the one to go. It's easy to look back and see a player's moves and say what he or she should have done. And in listening to Hunter's exit interviews, it kind of makes it easier to understand his decision. But still, if you go back over the last two tribal councils before this, the seventh week we had the split tribal councils, so there were only 6. And Hunter said at that time he was alone and he could have played his idol to save himself, but he didn't. And he was right, but he took a big chance because the Yanu 3 were the ones who decided on who was going to go, and they picked Tim. Then the next tribal council, once again, Hunter was out of the loop. He had immunity, so he couldn't be sent home, and they, I guess, wanted to get rid of Tevin's extra vote, and they got rid of Tevin. But now here we come to this week where he comes to tribal council. He's vulnerable. He didn't win immunity. He's got an idol in his pocket. He sees the way the votes are going. It looks very, very close. He says in his interviews that Tiff was the one who he thought would vote for Q, and so he kept his idol again. But to base your game on one vote, that was his big mistake. He did not read her correctly. And again, nice guy, but I think also his alliance with Tevin kept him in the game. And once Tevin was gone, so was he. The only thing I could say for sure about that tribal council was across the United States, people were screaming, play your idol, play your idol. Now I'll have that drink. Thanks.
Coming right up. Thanks, David. Yeah, what a What a mess. There's no way. And Tiffany's always saying that so-and-so's bluffing. Oh, they're bluffing about this, bluffing about that. Who's done the best bluff?
Tiffany.
Yes. Hands down. Fantastic bluff. Perfectly executed. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Park from Indiana, and you know what? I'm having a lot of fun with this season now. The beginning of it was rough. Pre-merge was a slog to get through, but it's really picked up, and I think it's found its footing. And that footing is pure chaos. These players are playing some of the most confusing Survivor I've seen, and I love it. It's great. Well, why are there no alliances? The 6 was a mess. There's some tribal lines, but those have been pretty much broken at this point. The only thing we have is Charlie and Maria. We had Kinsey and Tiffany, but then Kinsey decided, you know what? I want Tiffany out, which... Sure, if you're looking at Final Tribal Council, and I don't know if I can beat Tiffany at the end, the jury, they're looking at you both. Man, they've played similar games. I don't know about that one. Like, I don't know who to give the credit to. That's a valid fear. However, Final 9, maybe not the time to do that. Right. I know it's getting towards the end, but there's a lot of game left. So maybe don't vote out the only person you know for sure you can trust at this point of the game, because there's a bunch of crazy people on this island. And Tiffany is not one of them. So maybe don't do that and keep yourself safe a couple more rounds. I don't know. That makes sense to me. But I guess everybody just has big move-itis this season, which that's kind of gone away the last couple seasons, but then they're bringing it back. They're just like, I gotta make a big move. Let me vote out the only person I can trust. It just doesn't make any sense. But I love it. It's great. But for Kenzie's game, it was so good that Tiffany did not end up leaving, because that would have been terrible for her. Hunter, speaking of bad gameplay, Hunter, okay, leveraging your idol isn't always bad. However, I think you need some semblance of social capital to do that, and Hunter just didn't have that. I think he really relied on Tevin to make social relationships that they could both use, but like Hunter, buddy, you gotta make your own too, because Tevin might not be in the game the whole time. And I think that's where ultimately he failed. Not so much the idol, because he could have pulled that off. It was really close for him to be able to pull that off. That tie was so close. But once it tied, he was done. Because nobody's going to go to Rocks to keep the challenge beast. But that tribal council was super compelling. I was so invested in that tribal council. I think that the best players right now, I wanted to say Kenzie, but because of that Tiffany plan, that just scratches my head a little bit, so I don't know about that one. But I think Charlie really is the best player right now. Charlie and Tiffany, I think. But can they win? Can Tiffany get to the end? Because she does have a huge target on her back. And I think Charlie, it's just destiny for him to be that Final Four fire-making challenge loser or something like that. I don't know. I have no idea who's winning right now. But hey, yeah, I'm enjoying it. So that's all I got. I will see you all next time.
Thanks, Parker. The thing that concerns me the most about Tiffany is we're not getting anything about her social game. Well, we are. We're getting Maria saying that they can't work together. They weren't able to make a connection, so there's nothing there. I'm not sure what else.
Yet they did work together on this vote.
I don't know what else she's doing, because her thing has been against Q. That's been her defining scenes that we've gotten. I'm not sure that she's got the social part of the game here to win yet. Thanks, Parker. That was great. Next up, got an email from Roberta from we're not sure where.
I'm sick of the Survivor music accompanying the background of challenges, giving away the ending. The music reaches a crescendo just as Hunter's foot slips. I muted the music too late, ruining it for me. Probst and the Survivor machine are way too involved in affecting the game and overproducing the episodes. And another thing, Jeff jumped the shark, calling out Q, Liz, and Venus as the losing team before the start of the challenge. All right. Thanks, Roberta. I agree with that. I don't think he should have done that.
What do you think about the music? that actually had false crescendos in it, so I'm not 100% with her, but I understand where she's coming from.
Well, I don't know. I don't love music. I don't always love the music in the background.
So often these days, the mix doesn't come through right, where the music will be louder than the dialogue, and that causes all kinds of problems.
There shouldn't be music when there's dialogue at all.
It has to be very, very much in the background if you want to put it there. I think the one that stood out more to me was in Tribal Council, where the person was yelling in the background. There were kind of chants and yells and all that. I didn't mind. I like building up the ending to a challenge, so I'm not as concerned by that. And like I said, there were false crescendos in this one. If there wasn't false crescendos, I would agree more that it's showing the end too quick. But I did like that. I like that they built up and then they dropped it back down and they built up again and then Hunter came off.
All right. You liked it? Roberta didn't.
Yeah, I
she
definitely understand
have to mute the whole
overproduced assessment definitely seems to be the case. They are so full of themselves. They're navel gazing at a tremendous level in the 40s. The whole thing with Banu's stages of grief and how proud they were of themselves for pulling that off. You're absolutely spot on with that assessment. Thanks, Roberta. Next up, we got a call from Shahin.
Hi, Joe and Stacey, and also I fans, so everyone as well and safe. I thought this episode was just very muddled, and again, just continuing the trend of the last couple episodes, or maybe last few episodes, if you will. Nami getting obliterated is kind of coincided with this poor run of gameplay, and I think the field is really narrowing down to maybe 3 contenders for good winners. I think if we could, fingers crossed, get that, because I have doubts. I feel like last season we had a really good winner in amongst poor gameplay and poor players, and I think we've got some poor players left for sure, but there's only a handful of people that can get us across the line here, and I think it's Kenzie, Tiff and Charlie. I think Maria had a shout. She's like 50-50 for me, but she's kind of dropped off in my radar. I think she's become slightly abrasive and not cognizant of her surroundings, lacking a bit of self-awareness, something that I'd normally say of Venus, to be honest, but Venus has kind of pulled through a bit in the last couple of episodes, and I feel like she's been able to, I think, grasp the situation that she's in and become less abrasive as a result. I don't know if it's someone that gave her feedback off camera, and she had some on-camera feedback that production was able to capture for us between her and Maria 3 or 4 episodes ago, but I feel like she's softened up a bit. I don't know if that's, again, production trying to get, lead us to something where she does something crazy. She might be doing what's called the Jam edit. Her Jam said, I want you out, and then you went out. Doesn't matter how it happened. I didn't even have to do anything, and you left. And that's how he won it, to be honest. He won his season fleetingly. He won it with sometimes being involved in moves, sometimes not being involved in moves, but he was able to then prove it by saying, I wanted you out. And guess what? You went out. I'm not saying that they're the same, though. They're clearly different, but I would not be surprised if that's something that she was able to latch onto. I think her and Liz will be able to work together well, but I'm really happy for the Yanu group there that they've been able to pull through, but not for Q. Q has just kind of ruined it for me. This whole Q debacle, and then with Hunter playing just such a bad, he had a really bad moment, I feel. And when you've got that idol, I just feel like, again, idols are just being so misused in this new era. What are they there for? It just really frustrates me how they're being used. There's no effect to them. Maybe just pull them out of the game, because they're just creating more issues than what they're meant to have done. There's just a complexity that's just, with this new era of Survivor, I feel like these players have just killed its efficacy. We'll see, maybe it gets used well soon. But yeah, that's all I've got. Not much of an episode to talk about. Thanks for letting me do.
Thanks, Shahin. Yeah, it comes down to a gameplay. I think you really nailed it there. And there's been large swaths of players in the 40s that don't have the gameplay. They don't have the game knowledge. Next up, we got a call from Chris.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. It's Chris from Minneapolis calling. Just so disappointed in Hunter. He just had so much going for him. I mean, he's got arguably one of the biggest weapons you can have in Survivor when you've got an immunity idol that nobody knows about. And he just completely screws it all up. He has a chance to show that not only is he a physical threat, but he had a great opportunity to pull off a huge blindside. But again, every season, Survivor teaches us the same lesson, that it's just not physical threat is not what it's all about. You just look at great players like Sandra and Suri from years past. Those guys couldn't have held on to the telephone pole for more than like 30 seconds, but they always do amazing at the game of Survivor because they know how to read people, they know how to read a room, they know how to think 3 steps ahead, and clearly our buddy Hunter just could not do that, and it was just so disappointing to see that. One other thing, Liz, who I think is starting to show that she's a threat in the game. The one thing, though, I am not happy that Survivor put somebody on the show that's not eating, and it just doesn't seem like a good idea to put people like that on the show. But I do think she is proving to be a warrior and somebody that is a threat to win the game, but that's my kind of thought about putting people in the game, that it's clearly their health is at risk. So last comment is I switched to Tiff. At the midway point, I think she has what it takes to win the game. However, just looking at who's left, it is a snake pit. I mean, there are so many good players left, and it's going to be really great coming down the stretch here to see who makes it and who wins. I think we're going to see whoever wins this season is going to be a really, really good player, because there's just the alliances. It's hard to know what is going on, and to be able to navigate that is really going to be fun to watch. So take care. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, Chris. It is an interesting question to consider. Should they have even offered it to Liz, given her constraints? Or is it on her? Is it on them? I think it's on her. You should know better. And if you don't, and you make this choice, and you get jammed up, that's on you. But it's hard to turn down an opportunity, a 1 in 18 shot at $1 million. So being able to make those kinds of calls is tricky.
Well, and it's one thing to believe you can do it, or know that you have done fasting or this and that, but you're probably not out doing these massive challenges and things like that too. And yeah, even if you think you've thought it through, you don't always know really what you're getting into.
True.
So either way, I don't like to see that. And I personally think they should, when they do rewards, they should provide something she can eat.
And they did it in that last one when they won the reward, back in the Balance on the Doghouse thing and all that. When they took Soda out, she definitely got to eat some of that there. All right, thanks, Chris. Next up, we got a call from Hannah.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Hannah. I'm from St. Louis, by the way. So this week, I'm obviously super heartbroken. Hunter was my favorite, and I absolutely hate that he got voted out. I'm even more disappointed because he is such a super fan. It's no one's fault but his own. He knows that's how it always goes. That's why so many players have gone home with an idol in their pocket. They forget the cardinal rule of Survivor. The only thing that is guaranteed on that island is that you will be lied to. I was really hoping for a Big Ben style of play from Hunter. Really, that's the only way I could see his way to the end. He needed to win immunity or find and play idols and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Right. He was in a perfect position to blindside everyone with his idols that last night, but then Q would have gone home to the jury. So he could have won the next challenge and found another idol. It happens. But thinking too far in advance gets you voted out. So sometimes it's survive today and figure out tomorrow. He went to the jury, so no tomorrow for Hunter. I am heartbroken. I would have loved to see more of him on the show. But moving forward, I wouldn't be surprised if Siga reunites to go to the end. Ben is now in a prime position to play Tiff and Kenzie both like a fiddle. I think Tiff and Kenzie are are getting ready to turn on each other. If not next week, then very soon. Kinsey tried with Tiff this week and then backed off. She's a super strong player, and she seems to know when to take the back seat. I'm not really a big fan of Liz because of the whole I'm rich, I'm not here for the money thing. There are folks on that island that $1 million would absolutely change their lives, but also the lives of their family. So I just can't get behind that. She can cry about not getting all the credit all she wants. I don't think most of them will vote for her just because she doesn't need the money. And Venus, just no. She makes for good TV, but the girl has a lot to learn to be more self-aware. She's young, and hopefully she watches the season and learns. Q, once again, producer gold, but just crazy and all over the place. Very entertaining, though. Tiff yelling at Q, exciting TV, but not good gameplay on Tiff's part. Kinsey saying she's not playing with Q, once again, great TV, but not a smart move. I think at this point, Ben, Charlie, and Maria are in the best positions right now. As far as my predictions go, though, I could try, but I know it's going to be wrong because people are unpredictable. Aside from, they're going to lie. And that's why I love Survivor. It never gets old to me. Some seasons, the characters are better than others, yes, but last night's travel was one of my favorite things. I can only imagine the households nationwide screaming at their TVs, play your final! And that happens every season, twice this season so far, so maybe another time. I can't wait to see what happens next, but love the show, can't wait to hear it, and I'll see y'all next week.
Thanks, Hannah. Yep.
I was just thinking, I was looking at the roster, and Q always talked about how he was through the challenge or this and that, and he could beat Hunter if he wanted to, whatever. And in the first 2 legs of the immunity challenge, he didn't even beat Venus and Liz. He was the last one to finish each leg of the first 2. When they got to throwing the balls, now he went first, and he landed that just fine.
Well, they went in order, though. I'm not sure what you're saying. They were forced to go one by one in the beginning of that.
Not in the rope thing.
Not in the ropes, no.
And the digging.
Right.
Venus finished first, then she went and helped Liz, and then she and Liz went and helped Q.
Right.
Dig his up. Then in the next leg, where they had to hang the ropes, then same thing. They went and helped him. They don't know that they helped him, but he was the last one of them to finish. The 2 girls finished first.
Those parts, yeah. You're right.
I know.
You made it sound well. You made it sound like he was the one holding them up, and I don't think he was in a significant way.
But he was. He was the last.
Okay.
He was saying he could beat Hunter, and he did not.
Well, I think we're all pretty clear on the fact that he was never a physical threat. And he very likely will not be one at any course. Ben and Q are hopeful now, but now they're going to have to beat Charlie, and who knows if that'll happen. Yeah, much less Maria and Kinsey. So good stuff. Thanks, Hannah. Next up, we got a call from TitoBurrito.
Hello, Joanne, Stacy, and all of you other fellow Survivor fans out there. This is TitoBurrito calling from Massachusetts. So, Survivor really has me feeling psychic, especially after giving my last week's listener feedback. I said that Venus is a mess, and right after that, immediately in the next episode, she says, I love mess. I love being mess. And then I also said, Charlie is, and I gave him the award of the underdog, unpredictable. He's going to be the key to a lot of things. And look, here he goes in the challenge, coming through. And I'm not sure if anyone else saw him winning this one, but here we go, Charlie. I see you. And then also, I just want to remind everyone, Q was coaching Banu on how to play this game. Q was coaching Banu on how to play this game. The blind leading the blind. The examples are ever present on this earth. So it was just rich to see this continued wonderful, masterful gameplay by Q. And now, per the Next on Survivor, it looks like Q's going to keep scraping by and maneuvering through with this new freedom that he has, breaking away from his original tribe. So, Hunter, I had mentioned this in my previous ones too, which is why I feel psychic. You aren't thinking a couple of steps ahead, but you are thinking a couple of steps ahead, and it's a little painful because we watched you get absolutely played at this tribal council, and it's unfortunate because you had the right game plan in mind. You knew what to do. You knew the objective. Stay in the game. You're in danger, girl. And it didn't work out. They worked you masterfully in that tribal council, and it's unfortunate because you could have went very, very far in this game, and you ended up going out as the third jury member. So unfortunately, sorry, Mr. Hunter. You played a great game. I would absolutely love to see you again. It was tough in the very beginning watching your edit because I did not like how they were showing you. It just didn't come off right to me, but I'm glad that eventually we got to see you smile and be in your element while dealing with all the shenanery that was happening around you. So GG's, bro. Now, TitoBurrito out.
Thanks, Tito. Good job. Next up, we got an email from Josh the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, it was another solid episode, a classic challenge, mad scrambling, another blindside, and even some popcorn. Not a bad way to spend a Wednesday evening. My other observations. Once again, Q skirted elimination. What a stinker. He leading with the stinker. Tevin and Hunter were booted because the tribe got tired of the Andy Griffith theme. There you go. That was it all along. Q's D&D alignment is definitely chaotic. Good, neutral, evil is in the eye of the beholder. Jeff brought popcorn to tribal. They're lucky he didn't screen Jack and Jill for them too. That's a great flashback to one of the most awful rewards we've ever seen him do. Today's lesson, no one likes a hypocrite. That's good. That one, okay, you redeemed yourself right there with that one. The hunter becomes the hunted. It was more like he became Elmer Fudd, indeed. Q has become a two-tool player. He can quit and he can gaslight. Now, that there's spicy, Jeff. I hope the players' med kits include Tums. The pie blew up in Q's face. It must have been blueberry.
B-L-E-W.
Yeah, Liz wants a cookie for her Tevin move, but everyone else is dealing with an earthquake. Ben's dude mask slipped when he lit into Q. It did, didn't it? Could he be this season's Kaiser Sose? Perhaps. Yeah, maybe something shifted. Maybe he changed gears on us, and that was just the first glimpse. Liz wants to be seen as a threat. Just be careful not to become a whack-a-mole. Venus lives for chaos. Q is chaos incarnate. They're made for each other. Hunter said that Q has to respect Hunter's game. No, he does not. Venus is the Roman goddess of beauty. Minerva is the goddess of wisdom. Just saying. Hunter, when a player starts talking about themselves in the third person, it's time for them to go. The tribe formed the challenge teams via schoolyard click. That's good. Instead of pick, click. Yeah. Q wanted Charlie and Maria to tank to make Hunter lose. You can't spell quit without Q. That's true. That's the shirt right there. That goes with the Q skirt. Only Jeff would put people in the position to do squats and then make them illegal. Q can finally play like he wants to play? Do his tribe mates need hazmat suits now? Why does Jeff bother quoting records when the challenge has been changed to be harder? Yeah, that's a good question. I love seeing enemies help each other to succeed in the challenge. Venus says she loves having possibilities. She'll love Ponderosa's dinner menu. Hunter didn't want to play his idol. Mission accomplished. Tiff didn't want a re-hidden idol going to Hunter or Q. One down, one to go. Telling someone about your idol is like the old Herbal Essence ad. You tell two friends, and you tell two friends, and you tell two friends. When Hunter ran numbers in the sand, it looked like he was sketching a football play. Jeff is getting old if he now needs a butt pillow at tribal. Instead of a cushion, you make it denigrating that much more just by calling it a butt pillow. I like that. Venus grabbed handfuls of popcorn when Liz asked them to save some for her. Yep, That seems just spot on character, didn't it? After the season, Tiffany and Q will star in a sitcom as a bickering couple. Were the idols marked beware because they crazy glue themselves to pockets? Q's game is Calvin Ball from Calvin and Hobbes. You change the rules to suit yourself. Exactly. A science teacher who builds stuff, a rich woman, a wannabe movie star, a bumbling screw-up. Is this Survivor or Gilligan's Island? That's good. I like that. Kinsey. Q's hair isn't long enough to get breakup bangs. Next time, Liz cries, her game blows up, everyone coming for Q, and Maria plans a game-winning move. Does it involve voting out 7 other people at one tribal? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanna and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Aubrey.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hi, superfans. This is Aubrey from the Heartland. Longtime listener, but only my second time ever leaving feedback. I just had to leave feedback this week because I had a major light bulb moment during this episode. My realization was that this cast is just not very good at playing the game of Survivor. The realization came to me when they were deciding to put votes on Tiffany. Someone with a known idol, and absolutely nowhere in the edit that we saw did anyone suggest splitting the votes. It is intro basic 101 Survivor, just as you all know, to split the votes when you have someone who might play their idol. It wasn't until Tiffany told them directly that she was going to play her idol that they realized that maybe they couldn't put their votes on her. Same thing kind of happened with Hunter. When they were going to put the votes on him, there wasn't really talk about splitting, although they were a little jumbled at that point. Also, Tiffany tells them that she's going to play her idol. Usually when someone does this in their confessional, they say, yeah, that's what I'm telling them, but I'm not actually going to play it unless I think I have to because I want to save my idol. But she never does that. She ends up not playing it because she felt comfortable when she got to tribal, but there was no strategy behind her telling them that she wasn't going to play her idol. Just crazy to me. Of course, Hunter, one of the worst moves. We watch Survivor every week with our friends, and the friend I watch with, he just said that's got to go down as one of the worst moves in Survivor history, similar to what you said, Stacy. I actually got points this week because I had Hunter going. My thought process was that they weren't going to put any votes on Q because he was now at the bottom. He's probably not going to win. No reason to waste votes. And you want to get out your challenge threat. So I thought they would get out Hunter. But the road it took for us to get there, my, how crazy. They kind of accidentally split the votes at tribal just because there were 2 separate groups with 2 separate ideas. If they just would have given a little more thought, they wouldn't have had to revote because they almost had it right the first time. I just had to call in. What a crazy episode. What a bonkers season. And have a great week, everyone.
Excellent. Thanks, Aubrey. Great to hear from you again. I agree. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Survivor friends. Jeremiah here with some feedback for this week's episode of Survivor where we lost Hunter. Oh, man, I have to admit, I'm bummed like a lot of people are. But, you know, in the end, when you look at his game and this ending is kind of perfect for him, he just unfortunately doesn't have the full package when it comes to the game of Survivor. I mean, obviously, as everyone said, there's no reason for him not to have played that idol. He probably overthought things, especially when you hear his exit interviews. You can definitely tell he was overthinking things. So, would he do better on a second time around? I think so. I really do. But who knows if he'll get another shot, but it's always possible. So, a few things I wanted to bring up that I took from this episode. First thing I wanted to bring up is strong alliances just don't seem to be much of a thing anymore. The Reba group last season definitely had that going on. But in this new era of Survivor, maybe it just has to do with the sped up part of the game, we just don't have that. We see Kinsey here at 9 thinking about getting rid of her number 1. It's just a very fascinating discussion, I feel like, when it comes to the new era of Survivor. I do feel like a lot of these things have a lot to do with the shortened game, but it's just really interesting because I just think that nowadays it's hard to really know who's ever really aligned with who? I mean, it's just a rare thing where there's a strong group of people. You say, well, they're definitely sticking together to the end. It's just something that doesn't seem to happen very often. And I just find it kind of fascinating. And I'm sure you all have talked a lot about it offline yourselves and a little bit on the podcast too. But another thing is this whole notion about building up a resume. Ever since the beginning of Survivor, especially once the game started to evolve a little bit, people realize, hey, I've got to have a good story about why I should be the one to win. But now, again, with the quick game, I mean, I feel like these players feel like it's even more important because they don't have as much time to influence people into why they should get the money. So I do think that interesting. Liz in this episode, once again, talking a lot about how she's trying to build her resume and things are getting spoiled for her. And again, I kind of feel like that makes me think that maybe she makes it to the end and doesn't get the votes because of that. So I think it's just kind of interesting. Not sure how you all feel about the whole resume building thing and when does a player really need to work on that and how quickly should they do things. Because nowadays, if you make a move too fast, they vote you out. So now that Hunter is gone, you've got Q and Venus that have no agency in the game. And then you have Liz and Ben, who I just don't think anyone would take very seriously if they make it to the end. So that leaves Charlie, Maria, Kinsey, and Tiffany as our potential winners at this point, the way I look at it. So I think the next few votes will be determined on who can prevail from that group of people. And as far as next week's concerned, it's got to be Q, right? We keep saying this, it's got to be Q. That's my prediction. So you all take care, and until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Enjoyed that analysis. Does it got to be Q? I don't know that it does. They're so threat-focused. That's supposed threats. I'll be surprised if it's not Tiffany or Kinsey.
Yeah, I am anxious to see if Tiffany and Maria have worked out their differences since they voted together for Hunter.
Mm-hmm. Or if that was just coincidence.
Right. And so, if they did, I would certainly think Kinsey could be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
If not, then I think it's probably
easy.
Tiffany because she's got an idol.
It's easy for Kinsey to be in trouble, too. You just have to have Maria go to Tiffany and say, hey, Kinsey was gunning for you this last time. Are you interested at all in considering her as the vote at? Something along those lines to help, like you said, make the connection, make some peace, and build a temporary alliance to target a threat.
Though Q targeted her, and she didn't write his name down.
Yeah, he's just out. You do certain things, or just whoever you are as a person, and you're out of consideration. That's a tough one. Thanks, Jeremiah. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. I was bummed last week when I was sick because that episode was so good. So I was not going to miss this week, too. I feel like in this new era, I begin my feedback in a certain way, and that way is to ask the question, what was that? I can't believe Hunter didn't play his idol. What is it about this new era of players that makes them hang on to their idols and advantages only to be voted out of the game without having played them? It's like they're thinking about the end of the game before they even get close to it. And maybe it's not this new era. Maybe it's just this season. This season is just full of advantages that just kind of walk out the door. Hunter should have played his idol and then got back out there and found another. I'm so disappointed. He had such promise. Oh well, I think he's a fan favorite, and I think Spicy Jeff likes him, so I hope that Hunter will play again and he'll learn from this mistake. So I'm loving the little nicknames that we all have for Jeff. I have, of course, Talk Show Jeff. Last week, the nickname Negotiator Jeff was coined. And this week, we have Spicy Jeff. I love it. He does have so many personas. Which Jeff will show up next week, I wonder? I guess we'll find out. Tiffany confronted Q about the idol. She raked him across the coals, and I loved it. I loved how Liz, in the last episode, talked about having a huge ego, and that continued in this episode, as she wants Q voted out as soon as possible for stealing her thunder. I like that she's finally emerging as someone who is playing the game and not just coasting. I don't remember the exact phrases he used, but Ben was so right on target with describing Q and his actions at Tribal Council. Very perceptive. I liked the immunity challenge, and moreover, I liked how the teams were picked. Everybody was just so raw and emotional. The final part of the challenge was the one that Christian Hubicki talked forever to Jeff as he hung out on the wooden post. I liked that challenge. I hated that Q told Charlie and Maria to throw the challenge in order to sabotage Hunter. If they let Q get any traction in this game again, I will be so upset. But I guess maybe he's the ultimate goat now, so I hope he doesn't hang around, but I'm kind of thinking he might. I'm still going to pick him to go again this next week. I loved how at Tribal Council Jeff showed up with his little seat cushion and his bowl of popcorn. I do wish he hadn't given everybody the popcorn. That was so polite of him. If you're not going to give them rice, don't give them popcorn. Tribal Council was crazy, and I still don't think I understand all of it. I'm going to have to go back and watch again. But as I look at Paul's visual roster, 3 Nami have gone home in a row, and this season's trajectory is turning out to be nothing like I thought it would be. This is such an interesting group that is left. We've got Venus and Q, who I think have no chance of winning the game, and maybe even Ben too, because he's a little bit of a weaker player. I don't have a USB anymore, but I'm kind of going to put my money on Charlie at this point. I don't know, I can't wait to hear what all the fans have to say about this. Another awesome episode. Till next week.
Thanks, Jen. I'm glad you're doing better. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here, and well, would you look at that? We've split into teams again in this episode. I've already gone on about how much I dislike that, so no more on that, but I'll bet you anything that it rubbed Jeff raw when they said that the teams were sort of picked randomly. I'm sure that he wanted a pecking order to be made apparent, and yeah, it sort of was, but again, I don't think he was pleased at that first answer as to how the teams were picked, which was why he turned into Pissy Jeff and did his best to put a fire under Venus, Q, and Liz's butts by insulting them. I guess it worked, but me, I'm calling interference. Now, I have to confess that I love Charlie more and more with each passing week, and I love that he's playing as hard as he can while keeping it kind of low-key, except for the win this week, of course. At this point in time, I think Charlie has a fair shot at winning this game. It'll be interesting to see if Maria goes after Charlie first, or if it'll be the other way around, and I can't wait to see how that all plays out. Of course, Venus will take credit for Hunter going, so get used to hearing all about that. Maybe we could turn it into a drinking game, but I think Kenzie is the one that people will actually give the credit to. And that's why I'm currently picking her to win, even though my USB is Maria, who I still believe has a fair shot at winning, just not as much as Kenzie. Okay, so last week I didn't say a word about Tevin going, but I just can't ignore Hunter like that. It kills me that someone that smart was so fooled into thinking that he was safe. First off, he should never have told anyone that he had an idol. Secondly, who blindsided Tevin last week, as well as Hunter, by keeping him out of the loop? Well, it was them. And who was Hunter trusting with his remaining in the game? It was them. Come on, boy, wake up. When you tell people at the last minute that you have an idol, you need to play it because you've caused chaos that's going to be impossible to read. And that's why I expected him to play it. You know, when someone plays an idol and it isn't needed, it's treated like an afterthought when we talk about the episode. But when you leave with an idol in your pocket and you know that your name was being thrown around, well, we discuss it in detail like I am here because, let's face it, it's a boneheaded move. And it certainly doesn't help that I really liked this guy. And now, well, he's less of a player because he veered off that greatness track. If he had no idol, he would have been voted out and it wouldn't have been so much his fault, so to speak. I never expected him to win, but I never expected him to take an idol home in his pocket. And you know, there are 2 types of players in this game. There are the people who get mad at others for voting them out and hold a grudge, sort of like Tim. And then there's Hunter, who clearly realizes that he had a huge part in his being voted off. I guess my last thoughts on Hunter is that I believe he'd make a better player the second time around. He'd be less trusting. So anyway, I feel that Tiffany has got to be the next biggest target, especially since she, like Hunter, told everyone that she was going to play her idol and also didn't follow through. So yeah, I think I'm laying off of Q going home because I'm really hoping that these people can just ignore him to the bitter end and take away all of his merit in this game from here on out. But yeah, fat chance on that. So there you have it. And sadly, I will be missing in action for the next 3 weeks, with probably no way to keep up with Survivor, as I will be on a cruise to England. Once there, I think I can catch up, but I don't know what our schedule will be. I will be home in time for the finale, though, so I will have some final feedback. Everyone take care. I'll catch you all after the finale. Bye.
Thanks, Paul. Your voice will be missed, but we hope you have a great time on your vacation.
Hear, hear.
And when I was listening to Jen, I realized Oh, yeah. There was an idol that left before Jim. Brandon Medevect with his. The first one. The first Nami idol.
Yeah.
So this is actually the third one to leave the game unplayed, along with Tevin's extra vote.
Did he actually get the idol, or did he just
he
have
had
the
it.
clue? Oh, okay.
Well, no, you're right. He just had the clue. My bad. He had the clue.
Okay.
I convinced
what I
myself
thought.
when I was thinking that he actually had it, but no, it was the clue, and he didn't get to share that. So, and then that clue got re-hidden. That's when Hunter found it.
Yeah, and even though we're all so disappointed in Hunter and his decision and all that, Tiffany made the exact same move, and she came off flying colors.
All right.
I mean, she convinced them that she was playing hers, and then she didn't. And I'm with Paul. I think that's going to come back to bite her this week. But, she wasn't in any jeopardy. They believed her right away.
Does it really come back to bite her this week, though? What if she just plays it?
Well, I think she'll have to play it's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
This week.
I don't know. This group is so easily distracted by something else that that she could slide by again. If I were her, I wouldn't risk it twice.
I wouldn't risk it, no. Because like Hunter said, yes, they could be fooling me. They could be. It's like, yeah, all those things. You just have to make a choice and go with it.
He fooled around and found out.
Yep, it worked for Tiffany, didn't work for Hunter.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
And he, like we said all along, he just didn't have the social acumen, it seemed like, to figure those kind of things out. What do you think? Several people mentioned that right towards the end, that question. Do you think he would be better if he got to play a second time?
I do, actually.
Yeah? You think we would see a new and improved Hunter?
I think that he would come into it with a different view of it and what he needed to do. And I think he would process that before he made a decision to come back. So if he made a decision to come back, that he would know he had to work on his social game a lot more.
Yeah.
Will the outcome be any different? I don't know.
Because he will come back with a target because of that performance and the challenges.
Sure.
But yeah, I believe it's possible for sure that he could do that he could acquire those skills, and with the right group of people. It's all relative to who you're with. You have to adapt whatever your game is to who you're there with. You can't come in with a set plan.
Oh no, the dynamics are always different. That's what makes Survivor work.
Yes.
Is that it might be the similar things over and over, but, different people bringing all of their stuff in with them.
And I'm being critical of the players not being good at the game. That's one thing I don't think casting is going to be able to get a sense of. So they just have to do the best they can with the outward pieces. And we know they cast people without any illusion that they'll be able to win, or they know they're coming in to be their authentic selves and let the cards fall where they may in that regard. So some of them don't really have the wherewithal, the ingredients to win.
Well, I think they try to give you somebody that you love to hate, or so to speak.
Yeah.
They used to more so, but I still think they slide people in there that they know will annoy people.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that with the push for diversity, we've got more similarity than we have diversity in the end in terms of the ability or lack of ability to play the game? We used to have a lot of actors show up and they had no clue how to play the game, and some of them got quickly discarded too. I think
these people have a little better clue than some of the actors did, even though there's still some actors in there. But because they know that they have to study, it's just like studying for a role. I got to study so I know how to play this role.
Well, you get early indications when they show up without the ability to start a fire, without the magnesium fire starter. That's a group of people who weren't willing to put some study time in.
No, I really enjoy the people. And one reason I think Hunter was so popular was that, he was aware of Survivor and hosted the games and built the puzzles. And, all of that stuff.
Right.
He was very involved, and everybody kind of likes that.
The thing that was appealing about him for me was watching him play at such a high level so that he could finish his and go back in reverse through a challenge to come back and help someone else. Being that talented, to be able to, I can hang backwards and then pull myself back up just with my abdominal muscles is another way to handle that challenge, which cast a lot of attention on him. But
yeah, that was a show-off move.
To watch him in the earlier challenges where he's bringing, Tevin and Venus, just like Jonathan, he's got his teammates, his tribe mates, one in each arm, helping them get through so that they can complete. That he had the ability. I can remember when I did Boulder Outdoor Survival School, the people leading us were so strong where we might be going 8-10 miles in a day, but they would scout out 2 miles, 4 miles ahead, come back, get us, and just to see how much more capacity they had in their tank. It used to be like Rebecca. I bet Rebecca sees it with riding. Maybe she's one of the people who can do it. But when I would be out riding on my bike, training for triathlons, there would be people who could ride miles ahead, come back, like the people leading the rides, the coaches. They would ride up to the front, ride to the back, they're riding twice as far as I was in the course of a workout.
Or more.
Yeah, or more. And when you're around someone like that, you're like, wow, that they function on a whole nother level. Well,
it's like you always said about Ozzy. That's not something you can teach, I don't think. You either have that instinct to be able to look at a challenge and see what the most efficient way to run it is, and just do it in the moment. You don't have to think much about it. You look at it, you go, oh, I could do this instead of this, and that would make it easier, more direct, more efficient. And I think to some degree, Hunter was just he was in that realm.
Yeah. I agree.
And in enough, he wasn't a James. He didn't look like a Jonathan, this challenge beast.
Not a mountain.
He's just well conditioned because obviously he does active stuff all the time. That's just his body.
Yeah, to him, it's just running around. Doing stuff at home or when he's working or whatever. That's all just his tank.
That's how you get that kind of conditioned to do that.
I love that they cast Hunter. And like so many people said in the feedback this week, so sad to see him not be in the game because I loved watching him play the game that much. I wish he had more on the social side.
Disappointment.
Yeah, that he could have managed better without a Tevin there to help him interact with people.
Well, for me, it's very selfish on my part because I really wanted to see what other things he could do and watch him perform in other challenges. And, that would be very fun for me. So. And
this risk management slip up, it's just such an awful way to go out for it to end.
And he struggled so much.
So now, that's 2 in a row. I really enjoyed watching Tevin play. He was so dynamic and charismatic and loved his voice. Just getting to hear Tevin talk because he could do it in such a dramatic, entertaining way. And he had just fantastic social skills. So in that sense of this season and feeling sad that we've lost these great players, I've talked a lot over this past week about how there's definitely some boneheads playing, and we got some people that aren't the best at playing Survivor. I do surely miss Tevin and Hunter, and I'm so glad they were cast.
Now, if you were just looking at the roster and you didn't know how messed up Yanu tribe or previous Yanu that they are, you would think, okay, looking at the last 3 people before the merge that made the jury, all Segas. So there's 3 Segas. Everybody's like, oh yeah, they're going to wipe out the Segas. Well, then on the jury is 3 Namis.
Right.
And now, if Yanu tribe took out one more old Siga, then they would have the majority. Of course, we know that I don't think that's really happening.
Yeah.
And they don't even like each other.
There's not going to be a reunion.
But if you were just looking at the roster, you would think, oh, wow, yeah, Yanu's really been...
Here comes the numbers.
They did 3 of these and 3 of those, and now they're going to get one more of Siga, and then they're going to have the numbers to ride this thing. Yeah. But we know that's not happening, but it could have.
See, 17, so there's 9 game days left. It isn't a lot of time. I guess you can understand to some degree why people feel the time pressure and maybe pull the trigger prematurely on some of these moves.
Yeah, there's only 3 more weeks before the finale episode. So 4 weeks and we are out of here for the summer.
Yep. Well, I'm certainly excited to see what happens next. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who took the time to write in or record your audio or call in. You guys did fantastic. We enjoyed it. You made us think. We appreciate that. Enjoyed your predictions. And I also want to say a huge thanks to Hope for your donation. Thank you so much, Hope. We greatly appreciate your support. It helps us with the operational costs of the podcast, and that's a big help.
If you play in JSFL, remember to make your Week 10 picks for 1 person voted off and 4 people who you think will be safe at the end of the episode. Is there anything else you need to cover?
No. Looking forward to the episode next week, and we'll be back on Wednesday with a recap. Have a good one.